So back in 2025, Congress did something pretty rare, something almost unanimous. They passed a law that promised to pull back the curtain on one of the darkest, most complex stories of our time, the Jeffrey Epstein case. The goal was simple: total transparency. But what happened next? Well, the release of these files ignited an absolute firestorm of controversy. It exposed shocking redactions and revelations that sent tremors through institutions all across the globe. So let's break it down. What was promised? What did we actually get? And what does it all really mean?
But before we dive into the politics, the cover-ups, and the global fallout, we have to start here. We have to, with the voices of the victims. This line, taken from a survivor's diary found within those files, it sets the real stakes. This isn't just a story about powerful names or political drama. At its very core, this is a story about profound, unimaginable human suffering.
So, how did this all even begin? Well, it started with a simple yet incredibly powerful idea inside the halls of Congress. The public, you, me, all of us, deserve to know the full truth.
And the tool they created to make that happen was the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Its mission couldn't have been clearer. The Attorney General was given just 30 days, 30, to release all unclassified documents and records related to Jeffrey Epstein. And they had to be public, searchable, and downloadable. There was no ambiguity, just a hard deadline for full disclosure.
And what's really incredible here is the sheer speed and the overwhelming support this got. I mean, think about it. It was introduced in July, and then it took this rare procedural move called a discharge petition to even force a vote in November. But the second it hit the floor, boom, it passes the House 427-1. It sails through the Senate with unanimous consent, and it was signed into law that very same day. You just don't see that kind of bipartisanship anymore. It was a really powerful moment.
But as you can probably guess, that promise of crystal clear transparency, well, it ran headfirst into a much more complicated and, frankly, a much messier reality.
And this slide just lays out the conflict perfectly. On one hand, you have the law, which required everything unredacted all at once. But on the other hand, what the public actually got was a slow drip, a staggered partial release that started on the deadline day, sure, but it didn't even come close to what the law demanded. The fight for transparency was really just beginning.
By the end of January 2026, the Department of Justice came out and made this huge claim. They announced they had fulfilled their legal obligation by releasing over 3.5 million pages of documents. And that's a massive number, right? It seems like they did their job.
But yeah, almost as soon as they said that, people started questioning it. Skepticism just exploded, as reports, and even some members of Congress, started suggesting that the complete set of files was actually much, much bigger, maybe over 6 million pages. So the big question became, what are they holding back, and why?
And it was the redactions that really poured gasoline on that fire. I mean, we're not talking about a few names being blacked out here and there. No, entire files, like this one, 119-page document related to a New York grand jury, were released as just solid black blocks. To a lot of people, this looked less like protecting privacy and a whole lot more like a cover-up.
The entire process was just riddled with unbelievable errors. Some redactions were so sloppy you could literally undo them with basic photo editing software. At one point, a really key photo was just quietly removed from the website, and it was only put back up after a huge public outcry. But the most devastating failure of all? In the rush and chaos, the private, sensitive information of at least 43 victims was released to the public. It re-traumatized the very people this whole process was supposed to bring justice to.
But here's the thing. Even with all those flaws, with the redactions and the missing pages, the documents that did get out sent absolute shockwaves around the world. It proved without a doubt that this was a story with a truly global reach.
I mean, just look at this map of the fallout. It's staggering. In the UK, a member of the royal family was arrested. A former senior politician resigned from his party. In Slovakia, a top advisor to the prime minister had to step down. From the UAE to Norway's royal family, some of the most powerful people in the world faced immediate and severe consequences for their connections to Epstein.
And you know, the files didn't just name powerful individuals. They went deeper. They exposed the powerful systems that actually enabled the abuse. And they brought us right back, again and again, to the profound human cost of it all.
A huge piece of the puzzle was the money. The files laid out how the financial giant J.P. Morgan processed $1 billion for Jeffrey Epstein over a 15-year period. This wasn't just a bank account. This was the financial engine that powered his entire horrific operation.
And the worst part?
This wasn't some mistake or an oversight. Not at all. Court documents revealed that the bank's own compliance team flagged suspicious activity. We're talking massive, routine cash withdrawals for years. But time and time again, they were apparently overruled by senior executives who wanted to keep Epstein as a client.
And through all the numbers, the names, the corporate logos, the diaries and testimonies found in these files constantly pull the focus right back where it belongs, to the victims. This quote, "It's just a raw, painful window into the sick and twisted game they were all forced to endure."
The documents lay out this horrifyingly methodical pattern of abuse. It was like a playbook. Step 1, grooming, luring young women with promises of scholarships, mentorship, a better life. Then came Step 2, isolation, on his private island or in his mansions, cut off from the world. That was followed by coercion and abuse, which was often documented to be used as leverage later. And finally, Step 4, using his immense wealth and powerful connections to enforce a terrifying wall of silence.
The horror is just so personal, so detailed in entries like this one. It's a chilling, first-hand account of control, confusion, and just unimaginable trauma. Those last few words, "I am too young and he is too old," just absolutely devastating.
Which leaves us here with this one massive, crucial question. The release of the Epstein Files was chaotic, it was incomplete, and it was incredibly painful for so many. But it also triggered a global reckoning. So was this flawed process the real transparency that Congress promised, or was it actually something else? Maybe the messy, difficult, but absolutely necessary first step toward real, lasting accountability. That's for all of us to think about.